The gala reunion, Ethan Carter adjusted his cufflinks. The dim glow of the chandeliers, reflecting off his watch, a gift from Diana for their 6-month anniversary. The Boston Symphony Hall buzzed with the city's elite, all gathered for the annual Children's Hospital fundraiser. Diana Rossi, draped in a backless emerald gown, squeezed his arm. "You're distracted," she murmured, her red lips brushing his ear. "The governor's wife just complimented your donation, and you didn't even hear her." Ethan forced a smile. "Sorry, Oliver's been blowing up my phone about the Singapore merger." Diana sighed, used to his divided attention. "Well, unplug for once. This is my world tonight." He nodded, slipping his phone into his pocket. As he scanned the room, his gaze snagged on a familiar silhouette near the Champagne Tower. His breath hitched. Lila, his ex-wife, stood beside her parents, her auburn hair shorter now, curled softly around her shoulders. But it wasn't just her presence that froze him, it was the unmistakable swell of her belly, rounded beneath her navy dress. Pregnant, very pregnant, Diana followed his stare. "Who's that?" Ethan's throat tightened. "Leila Montgomery, my ex. And the baby." Diana's voice sharpened. Ethan didn't answer. The math clawed at him. Leila had left him 8 months ago. That belly didn't belong to a second trimester. Woman. It was his. Across the room, Leila laughed at something her father said, her hand resting absently on her stomach. Then, as if sensing his stare, she looked up. Her smile vanished. "I need to talk to her," Ethan said, already moving. Diana's nails bit into his sleeve. "Ethan, don't!" He pulled free. Lila's parents stiffened as he approached. Her father Henry stepped forward, blocking his path. "This isn't the time, Carter. Just 5 minutes," Ethan said, his voice low. Lila's single quotes his mother Maria touched Henry's arm. "Let them talk." When they retreated, Lila crossed her arms over her belly, a shield. "You look well," she said coolly.
"You're pregnant?"
The words tumbled out, her jaw tightened, observant as ever. "Is it yours?" she finished. A beat. Yes. The confirmation punched through him. He'd imagined fatherhood someday in some abstract future. Not now. Not like this.
"I didn't."
"You tell me?" Leila's eyes flashed. "Remember our anniversary? You were in Dubai? Or the night I miscarried last year? You took a call from a shareholder during the ultrasound?" Her voice cracked. "I won't raise a child who's an afterthought." Ethan flinched. His phone buzzed Oliver again. He silenced it. "I want to be part of this, Lila." She studied him, then glanced past his shoulder. Diana lingered nearby, her glare venomous. "Some things never change," Lila whispered. "Your phone's still ringing. Your girlfriend's waiting. You'll always have somewhere more important to be." She turned to leave. Ethan caught her wrist. "Name one place." Lila froze. "One place," he repeated, "where you want me to meet you. No interruptions, no excuses, just talk." Her lips parted, surprise, then doubt. "The cafe on Beacon Street. Tomorrow. Noon." As she walked away, Ethan's phone buzzed once more. Oliver's text glared up at him, FDA investigation. Ravitajan's trial data might be compromised. Call now. For the first time in his life, Ethan powered off his phone. The cafe on Beacon Street smelled of roasted coffee and cinnamon, a stark contrast to the sterile tension between Ethan and Lila. She sat across from him, her hands wrapped around a steaming chamomile Tino caffeine, he noted. Her pregnancy had changed her in subtle ways, the soft swell of her cheeks, the way she absent-mindedly traced circles on her belly whenever the baby moved. Ethan cleared his throat. "How far along are you? 36 weeks?" Her voice was steady, but her knuckles whitened around the cup. His stomach dropped. 36 weeks? That meant she'd gotten pregnant right before she left him. His mind raced. Had she known when she walked out? Had she planned to keep it from him forever? "You didn't think I had a right to know?" he asked, keeping his voice low. Lila's eyes flickered up, sharp. "I tried to tell you. Twice. The first time you canceled dinner because of a last-minute board meeting. The second time you were in Tokyo for 3 weeks." She exhaled. "By then, I realized I didn't want to tell you." The words stung. Ethan had always prided himself on control over his company, his life, his emotions. But this was a variable he hadn't accounted for. "I'm here now," he said. Lila leaned back, studying him. "For how long? Until the next crisis at horizon?" "Until Diana gives you an ultimatum?" Ethan stiffened. "Diana had been furious last night. You humiliated me," she'd hissed. "You chose her over me in front of everyone." "This isn't about Diana," he said firmly. "It's about our son." Lila's breath hitched at the word son. She hadn't told him the gender. Ethan caught the slip, his chest tightening. "You weren't going to tell me that either, were you?" Before she could answer, his phone buzzed again. Oliver's name flashed on the screen. "Fourth call this morning." Lila's lips thinned. Some things never change. Ethan silenced the call. "I turned down the Singapore merger for this. And yet you still can't ignore it." He shoved the phone into his pocket. "Lila, I want this. I want to be there for him. For you." She laughed softly, bitterly. "You don't even know what that means. Then tell me." For the first time, her composure cracked. It means showing up, Ethan. Not when it's convenient. Not when there's nothing better to do. Every day. Even when you're exhausted. Even when work is hell." She pressed a hand to her stomach. "He's not a project you can delegate." Ethan opened his mouth, then closed it. He'd built Horizon from nothing, sacrificing relationships, sleep, even his marriage for it. Could he really balance fatherhood with that? His phone buzzed again. Text this time. "Oliver, the FDA just subpoenaed our trial records. If we don't act, no W, Revitigen is done." Ethan's jaw clenched. "Damn it." Lila saw the shift in his expression. "Go ahead," she said quietly. "Shit. I don't have to. Yes, you do." She stood, wincing as the baby kicked. "That's the problem, Ethan. You always have to." He stood too, reaching for her arm. "Lila, wait." She pulled away. "Good luck with your crisis." She walked out. Ethan's phone rang again. It's time he answered. Ethan's penthouse was silent, except for the rhythmic tapping of Diana's manicured nails against the marble countertop. She hadn't spoken since he walked in, her back turned to him as she stared out the floor-to-ceiling windows at the Boston skyline. "You missed the meeting with the investors," she finally said, her voice icy. Ethan loosened his tie, exhaustion weighing on him. The FDA investigation had spiraled: whistleblowers, leaked emails, Oliver's panicked demands. He hadn't slept in 36 hours. "Couldn't be helped," he said. Diana whirled around, her dark eyes flashing. "Of course it could have been helped. You chose her again." Ethan stiffened. "This isn't about Lila. It's about my company." "Bullshit," she crossed her arms. "Oliver told me you ignored his calls for hours yesterday because you were at some cafe with your ex." Ethan's jaw tightened. Oliver had no business dragging Diana into this. That conversation was important. More important than saving Horizon? Diana scoffed. "You're lying to yourself, Ethan. You always said work came first, till she showed up." He didn't answer. The truth sat between them, heavy and undeniable. Diana's voice dropped, dangerous. "I'm not doing this. I won't compete with a ghost store, a baby." Ethan met her gaze. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying choose." She stepped closer, her perfume sharp in the air between them. "Right now, Miordum." His phone buzzed. A hospital number flashed on the screen. Ethan's blood ran cold. Diana let out a bitter laugh. Of course, he answered immediately. "Hello?" Nurse's voice, clipped and urgent. "Mr. Carter?" "Lila Montgomery was admitted 10 minutes ago. She's in early labor." The hospital corridors blurred as Ethan sprinted through them, his dress shoes slipping on the polished linoleum. He burst into Lila's room, just as a contraction hit her face, twisted in pain, her fingers gripping the sheets. Her parents stood on either side of the bed, their expressions hardening when they saw him. "You," Henry growled. "This is your fault." Gasped through the pain. "Dad, stop." Ethan ignored him, rushing to her side. "What happened?" Blood pressure spiked. She panted. "They're worried about preeclampsia." Doctor entered, scanning the monitors. "We need to deliver now." Ethan's chest tightened. Too soon. The baby wasn't due for another month. Lila reached for his hand, surprising them both. Her fingers trembled against his. "Stay." The word shattered him. Henry stepped forward. "Lila." "You don't need him." "Yes, I do," she whispered. Ethan didn't let go. The delivery room was too bright, too cold, too full of beeping machines and hushed urgency. Lila's grip on Ethan's hand was crushing as another contraction ripped through her, her knuckles white against his. "Breathe," he murmured, echoing the nurse's instructions, but his own chest was tight with fear.
Too early.
Too soon? Lila's face was streaked with sweat and tears, her teeth gritted. I can't. Yes, you can." The doctor's voice was calm, but firm. "One more big push, Lila," she screamed as she bore down, her nails digging into Ethan's palm, hard enough to draw blood, and then a cry. It's thin, reedy, but unmistakably alive. Ethan's knees nearly buckled. "Congratulations," the doctor said, lifting a tiny, squirming bundle. "You have a son." Lila collapsed back against the pillows, her breath ragged, but her eyes wide and shining, never left the baby. Ethan couldn't speak. His throat had closed up the moment he saw him, impossibly small, red-faced, his tiny fists flailing as the nurses whisked him to the warming table. His son. Lila's voice was raw. "Is he okay?" The neonatal specialist didn't look up as she worked. "He's underweight and his lungs aren't fully developed. Need to take him to the NICU." Lila made a broken sound, her hands trembling in the air as if she could pull him back to her. Ethan caught one of them, lacing his fingers through hers. "He's going to be fine," he said, willing himself to believe it. She didn't answer, just stared at the door where they'd taken their son, her chest rising and falling too fast. Henry stepped forward, his face grim. "You should go." Ethan stiffened. "I'm not leaving. This is family time," Henry snapped. "And last I checked, you gave up that right." Lila's voice cut through the tension, quiet but firm.
"Dad, stop."
She turned to Ethan, her exhaustion etched deep, but her gaze steady. "Stay. But if you walk out that door for anything, work, a phone call, anything, don't bother coming back." Oliver's call came an hour later. Ethan stared at his buzzing phone in the dim light of the NICU. Where Noah Lila had named him lay in a tangle of wires and tubes, his chest rising and falling too fast beneath the incubator's hum. "Oliver, the board is voting in 30 minutes. If you're not here, they're pulling you as CEO." Ethan's thumb hovered over the screen. Then he silenced the phone and turned back to the glass. The NICU hummed with quiet urgency, machines beeping in steady rhythm as Ethan sat beside Noah's incubator, his son's tiny fingers curled around his thumb. The doctors had warned them preemies are fighters, but it's a long road, and every ounce of Ethan's being was focused on the fragile life in front of him. Lila stepped into the room, her footsteps soft. She looked exhausted, her hair pulled into a messy bun, her sweatshirt still wrinkled from the hospital cot she'd barely slept in. But when she looked at Noah, her face softened. "He's gaining weight," she murmured, resting a hand on the incubator. Ethan nodded. 4 ounces since yesterday. Silence settled between them, not quite comfortable, but no longer sharp with resentment. Lila exhaled. "Oliver called me." Ethan's head snapped up. "What?" He said you missed the board vote? Her gaze was unreadable. That they replaced you as CEO. Ethan's jaw tightened, but he didn't deny it. "I made my choice." Lila studied him, searching for something in his expression. Was it worth it? He looked down at Noah, his son, so small, but so stubborn, clinging to life with a fierceness that mirrored Lila's. Yes, but before he could answer, his phone buzzed. Diana's name flashed on the screen. Lila's lips pressed into a thin line. "You should get that." Ethan didn't move. She raised an eyebrow. Seriously? He picked up the phone and powered it off. Lila's breath caught. "I'm done choosing between what matters," he said quietly. "I want to be here, for him. For you." For the first time in years, Lila's eyes glistened with something. Other than anger or pain, hope. Epilogue. 3 months later, Noah came, home on a Thursday. Ethan carried him over the threshold of Lila's brownstone, the baby bundled in a striped onesie, his cheeks finally filling out. Lila's parents hovered nearby, their skepticism softened by the sight of Ethan carefully adjusting Noah's tiny hat. Henry cleared his throat. "You're staying, then?" Ethan met his gaze. "As long as they'll have me." Lila didn't answer, but when she took Noah from his arms, her fingers brushed against Ethan's, just for a second, and lingered. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet, but it was a beginning.